All right. Good morning. It is a new week. It is Monday. And I've got my phone locked up already. I'm turning off my second monitor, as always, and getting in here. So to start, it looks like there's a short-term uptrend that gets a two-legged break and a new high. And then instead of turning down, which is what you'd expect after the uptrend has played out. So after this is kind of played out, I would expect prices to trade down, but instead we continue up. I know I was looking at possibly having this uptrend. Well, it could come off of there. It looks like prices are playing off of something here, as they're not coming back to the EMA, and you get these bars like successively working higher. So it looks like maybe this is kind of in tight like that. You have a short-term uptrend, gets a break in two legs up, and now it looks like you have this short-term downtrend that gets a break in new low, find some support. Looks like you might have like kind of a support zone here. Just put it there. And now we're continuing to work higher. So I'm definitely looking for longs over shorts, that's for sure. But I don't see anything like right in the imminent future that I would be looking to take. So I meditated this morning for 20 minutes. I moved my workouts to the afternoon, so that way I can meditate in the morning, have a little bit of extra time to eat breakfast, get settled, like, brush my teeth and all that deal. So I feel like I'm more ready for the day. I definitely like meditating in the mornings over at night, because at night I'm always like super wiped, and I end up just getting a few minutes into the meditation and basically just falling asleep because I'm just so tired. So doing it in the mornings is definitely ideal. I also have more focus. I feel like I'm better at it in the morning. Not just the fact that I won't fall asleep, but also I feel like I have the more capability to focus, which is great. So, and I think it helps the trading as well. So far, prices are just struggling to come back to the main side of the trend line. So they pushed away here, and they've been struggling to come back on each successive pullback, even though there's really only one real pullback, and it's this one. But still, after this short-term uptrend played out, it's surprising the prices didn't pull back, at least to the EMA, and possibly to this trend line. I think ideally we'd get a second entry long close to or off of the trend line. Looks like prices are moving a little bit sideways here. So there could be a possible like range-like action with some resistance up at this high. So ideally we'd see an entry off of this trend line, though I'm not entirely sure of this trend line. And I know sometimes I'll get or mess myself up by taking trades off of these really wide trends. So I just need to be careful. There's not really much to comment on right now. Price is just still moving sideways. Looks like we're getting some congestion here with 3 stacked bars going on, possibly 4. Turning down off this same resistance level. So you can see prices have turned down once, twice, 3 times. There's a triple test there. Looks like prices are probably going to pull back to the trend line. They're getting close at least. So I'm trying to think about what circumstances I might be interested in a trade. First off, this could be viewed as just one leg back, so like one and then a break, and then maybe like a larger second leg back. Or it could just be the short-term downtrend break, new low, and then now we're just moving sideways. But I'm thinking if this ends up being kind of like 2 larger legs back and you get a bullish bar off the trend line, then like on a larger scale, it could be, again, 1, 2 legs back, even though it wouldn't be a true second entry on this chart. So that's one place that I might be considering taking an entry. I mean, I know the area I'm looking to take one, but it's a matter of like what setup would I be willing to take it? What setup would I be willing to take if it, sort of appears at that location, I guess. Just continuing to move sideways, struggling to sell off. I noticed I was pretty zoned out there for a second, but also there's not really much to like focus on. I mean, there's not much to like analyze, I guess what I mean. So we're still stacking within. I mean, not really within a individual bar, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacked doji bars. That is some serious congestion right there. Getting close to the open. About 2.5 minutes away. I think getting here before the open, having a good like 15-ish minutes to get my bearings straight before 9:30 is a pretty good idea. I know I used to just hop on right at 9:30 and it was like just, I don't know, diving into a massive wave without any kind of warm up, you know? Just getting like swept away. Didn't drink any coffee this morning, and I've been drinking coffee or tea like pretty much every morning. So I need to stop doing that because whenever I do, yeah, I get a lot done or I'm really focused and energized in the mornings, but then whenever it wears off, I'm just dead and I can't get anything done for the rest of the day. So it's like it saps the energy from the latter part of the day. So if I want to have more sustained energy, I need to not drink it at all. Getting another stack doji. We're coming right up onto this trend line, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any kind of setup for me. With how sideways prices are right now, I'm definitely not interested in taking a setup. Not to mention it, if we did get a setup, it'd be going right into that resistance. And we are pushing up and through that. Looks like prices might have already bounced off the trend line. So if we pull this in a little bit tighter, it's possible prices already came off the trend line. Looks like the support didn't come into play, and this resistance didn't really either, but it's clearly there. So you can clearly put that there. So possible breakout pullback trade. There's this resistance. Broke out of that. Now we've pulled back, and you might get a bullish bar here. Also off this trend line. What I don't like about this is you have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacked within this big bullish bar right here with 2 dojis, and you didn't break lower below this bearish bar. So it's really just kind of an inside bar. Of course, we do end up going higher. Price is not really taking off. So right here, they took off, pull back, took off, pull back, took off in a really big way, pull back, struggled to get back to the trend line, got back to it, and we got a little bit of a push, some sideways action, a little bit of a push. It doesn't look like right here, that's a really strong push away. It did kind of peter out, but then you got another strong push. Prices are picking up some steam now. Okay, yeah, they're really picking up some steam now. I was going to say that it looks like they're kind of slowing down, but this doesn't really look like it anymore. This is definitely looking like a strong trend. One, because of the angle, but two, because you have these small bars working higher. So look like bullish bar, kind of a small bullish bar, full-bodied one, doji, but still bullish, smallish bullish bar, just kind of like continuing to kind of chop higher here. It's a telltale sign of a strong trend. And in a strong trend, I'm willing to give the entries a little bit more leeway. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a perfect entry in order for me to be interested. Looks like we're going to break the trend here. So the uptrend is broken. I'm expecting a new high. So it looks like we're going to get that break a new high, but it's so small that I probably wouldn't consider that. Like if prices break, or if prices create a more complex pullback, I'm probably still going to expect them to move to a break a new high, because that's just such a small break. It's not convincing enough. You could easily make this just a tad wider and it would fit. Also, if you went to a larger scale, this is still just one move up. You wouldn't even see these 2 bars down, really. Regardless though, obviously momentum is waning here. We weren't able to come back into the trend, so we did get that close outside, and then we tried to come back within, weren't able to do it, so now looks like we're pulling back down here. We might get a more complex pullback. Whoops. So we are continuing down, getting this possibly more complex pullback before we attempt higher again. That's what I'm thinking at this moment. If we draw a short-term downtrend here, looks like we're attempting to break that right now. I'm going to zoom in a tad so I can really see what's going on. So short-term downtrend, we already have a first entry right there, or maybe not. Okay, I'm wrong, never mind. So if you really look at it, prices are looking decently sideways. So you have all this sideways action inside of this bar. And prices are kind of still within this range area. Still working back in the short-term downtrend. So what I'd like to see is a break, a new low of the short-term downtrend, and a bullish bar to go higher. So we now have the break. Like I said, I'd like to see a move to a new low for the short-term downtrend. I definitely can't take just this first entry. So that is a great bullish bar, and I am expecting a break and new high of this trend, but I can't just take this first, just one leg back. Chances are too high that prices attempt this new low. They might not achieve it because prices have been so strong, but the chances are they at least try. Right now it's looking like we are getting some follow through on this bullish bar. It's looking like we might get a no-brainer kind of entry, hopefully, because we have a first entry break of the short-term downtrend. Now we're looking for prices to possibly tick lower and create a second entry long. So I'm waiting to put my order in until I really see. So there we go, prices ticked lower now.
Order submitted.
So now, if prices turn around and give a nice bullish bar, I think I'll be interested. I do see the prices are looking a little bit sideways in this area, as I mentioned earlier. If you were to draw the sort of range, you can see prices are moving kind of sideways. There's a lot of selling right there. A lot of selling, and we made a double bottom. So again, in order for me to be interested, there we go, prices have ticked lower. So the short-term downtrend has a break and new low. If we get a bearish or bullish bar here, then I'll probably be taking that. But this is a pretty strong sell-off. So it looks like we are kind of reversing up. I think I'm going to have to take this if it ticks higher.
Order filled.
So, yep. It did set up below the EMA, but we're looking for this break and new high. It's pretty much a perfect 2 legs back with a good signal bar, closes 1 tick from its highs. It's coming after a decently strong sell-off right here. So whenever prices turn down, this was decently strong, but I still feel like this is a worthwhile risk to take. Let's see what happens. Looks like I took it right at the bar high instead of one tick above. So I'll have to go back and watch the recording. I think I put it one tick above. Sometimes if I put it in and prices have dropped down, then it'll get filled on a slightly better price. So watching to see what's going to happen here. Price is just kind of moving sideways. And we're moving up. We're getting close to my order. Taking off of it. Looks like we'll probably get filled on this one. Usually if it ticks off an order,
Target
I'll
filled.
get out. Yep, there we go. So I'd say that's one of the best trades that I've taken in a little while. Perfect 2 legs back. So now I'm watching to see if we get any kind of higher low. So I'm still expecting prices to make this break a new high here. And now there's been 2 larger legs back for a more complex pullback. And I'm watching to see if there's any kind of higher low or failed second entry to still go higher. Prices are looking sort of sideways now, as I mentioned before. So it's possible that you get some sort of range like this possibly. I definitely want to mark this support here in case that comes back into play. And we are finding a little bit of resistance right there. If we get a higher low here, I'm not going to take that. Price is looking really range-like to me here. Prices are moving back down, so it looks like I kind of barely got out of this. And if I had gotten in where I should have, I wonder if I would have gotten out at all. Looks like I would have gotten out by 1 tick. Crazy. Price is continuing to look really range-like, coming off of this support again. Unsure of exactly where the resistance is. It could be here. If it is a range, it could be here. Could be up here. Could be somewhere kind of in between because we do have these moves as well. By these, I mean this. So it could be kind of somewhere in between as well. Still finding support, but we're struggling to go higher. So we came off of here. We made a lower high compared to this one. Then we came off it again. We really struggled to go higher. The prices came back to this support area again. So it looks like prices might break out the low side of this support. I'm definitely not looking to buy. Not right now. Prices are looking too sideways. Possibly sort of fleshing out this resistance here, as we just get another touch off that resistance area. And I do think that this resistance is correct. So I'm going to remove this other line here. And I'm going to draw the full range. Looks like it's right there. So it looks like there were a few attempts higher. So we can see prices pull back, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, kind of third attempt higher right here before we're going lower, which makes sense. Makes a kind of a triple test before moving lower. Still thinking that prices are probably going to test these highs, but I do believe there's a gap. So I mean, between where you closed. So we closed yesterday down here, not yesterday, but on Friday. So we closed like kind of down here, and then in the overnight we made this big run. So I wouldn't be surprised if prices come all the way back down to close that before they do whatever they do. So it looks like prices broke out of this range area. They made a breakout pullback on this tiny bullish bar, completely engulfed it, finding some selling. I want to see how prices react off this old resistance level, which held the support here. Might find some reaction there. Clearly finding some selling. Again, it's also possible that this is just one slightly larger, more complex pullback. So like kind of like a 1, 2 big legs back. It's definitely a possibility. Not a possibility to take long. I guess you could because it's a second entry long and a breakout, but that would be way too sketchy. But it's a possibility that this is just a part of a one bigger pullback right here. Getting some congestion. 3 stacked bars inside of this bearish bar. You know, I wonder how people who stream or record like all the time don't constantly get sounds, like outside sounds in their microphone. Because whenever I listen back to this, I can hear like birds and I can hear my computer whirring and I can hear just about everything else. The lawnmower in the background, you know. So right now I don't really have too many expectations for prices. Like I said, I think prices are going to come test this again because this is not a very convincing break and new high right there. So yes, this is a close outside and a new high, but it's not very convincing. So I think prices are going to attempt this high again, and this is all just kind of one more complex pullback. But that's not what they're doing currently. I don't know. I didn't really have a but there, but they're still pulling back, I guess, is it. Lots of sideways still. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going on 7 stacked bars. Continuing to really stack sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stacked bars. Each one kind of progressively moving lower. And as you can see, prices are seriously moving lower now. But pulling back within. So 9 stacked bars. A lot of them dojis. Some really sideways action. So ultimately I am still really thinking long, but prices are not showing me any kind of strength whatsoever. I don't know even what setup I would look for. Like even just a higher low right now, like a push above the EMA and a higher low, I don't think I would want that. Maybe a failure if it's set up right. I don't know though. So trying to see how prices are going to react off of this old resistance turn support, trying to see if it's going to hold as support again. So far, looks like it. And we're continuing to work lower. The only possible channel I see right now is a spike in channel. Could be from here, although I like it better kind of coming off these closes like that, something like that. Really choppy action, but continuing lower. Looks like this level is not worth really anything. Pull it back over here. I was about to remove it, but I still like having it over here. So I'm starting to feel more short biased than long biased. It's still possible that prices make a more convincing retest of these highs, but it's also possible that this short term, this little small break and new high was enough. It's definitely a possibility. Looks like, I think that's a second entry short right there. The prices are moving way too sideways. So you get this first entry, price move higher, is the second entry, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacked bars at that point within this bearish bar with a few dojis. I don't like that. I could see a potential setup here, because you have this congestive area, and it looks like the spiking channel is probably correct. It's possible you get a failed breakout, so like a breakout the high side of this, and a bearish bar to take short. I could see that potentially setting up, but even if that does, I doubt that I'd take that. So it's a possibility. You'd have to be out. Let's see.
Order submitted.
Just in case. And it doesn't end up
Order
bearish.
canceled.
I was gonna say, just in case this does end up bearish, maybe I'd drop an order a little bit back, because that could give me just enough to get out. But that was a little bit aggressive. It still would be. You could still get a bearish bar here. So let's see. I think same thing. Nope, still moving higher. Okay. So I don't think that that is was a worthwhile idea there. So now we have two conflicting ideas. I'm thinking prices are still probably going to come up and test this again, but I think we have a spiking channel down. It looks to me like a spiking channel. It looks valid, and I think prices are probably going to try and attempt these lows. Not entirely sure what to expect here. Like I said, I have two separate like differing ideas going on. Looks like prices are probably going to attempt the new low, though, of this downtrend. See a potential resistance area. Doesn't look like that was worth anything. This short-term uptrend now has a break in new high. Price is still moving up pretty strongly. So I'm thinking we're starting the retest of these highs. So it looks like a spike and channel down, one attempt at the low, and now we're continuing higher. I'm definitely not looking to take any shorts. Not anymore, not after this strong up movement. I feel like this is telling me that something has changed. That this is not the dominant structure anymore, and that now we're probably moving higher. Still continuing up, so we're getting that continuation. Expecting prices to make the true break and new high for the uptrend now. Looks like that's where they're headed. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a setup before prices reach that break and new high. And I'm not looking for any kind of reversal setup. This has been a pretty strong uptrend today. So even after we reach this break and new high, I'm not really going to be looking for a a reversal. So like, let's say if we come up and we get this breaking new high and we get a lower high, I'm not going to be taking that short. This has been too strong. In fact, I want to see how much we've moved up here. It's probably like 20 points, 20, maybe 30, 50. Wow. That's absurd. That is crazy. Look at how long it took us to sell that off. So, I mean, it took these 2 days of like very, very tough selling, and then boom, took it up just like that, easily. That is crazy. So we've now made this break a new high. So I've got a little like cough or a little mucus in my throat type of deal, making my voice sound a little weird and coughing every now and then. But we've already made this break a new high. So there was the unconvincing one here with this slight close outside. And as I thought would probably happen, prices made a more complex pullback before they did go for a more convincing break a new high. And right here, I took the second entry long, thinking that this was probably the end of this pullback, looking for the break a new high, but truly prices had further to go. So that's what happened. They went further, and then now we've made this break a new high. I bet even this alone is probably quite the move, 13 points. So now that we've made this break a new high, I'm not entirely sure where I expect prices to go. Expecting some sort of sideways action or reversal. I think it's unlikely that we'll see this, but I think there is some sort of gap on the chart because, again, prices closed down here and we opened all the way up here. So if you were to look at the S&P 500 chart, then you'd see this like gap between the close of the previous day and the open of today. So it's definitely, it's possible that prices move all the way down here, but man, that would be quite the sell-off. All the way down, I mean, basically to there. It'd be a 50-point sell-off, so, you know, could happen. We just saw 50 points of buying. We could see that, but right now I'm doubtful that we will see that. Now that this uptrend has played out, I'm just waiting to see if prices are going to start ranging or if they're just going to do a V reversal. It's probably more likely that they start ranging than we get some sort of V reversal. V meaning up and then straight down, which is basically what you would have seen here. Uptrend break, new high, boom, straight down. Unlikely. More likely that we'll move sideways for a little while and then price will either continue up or they'll eventually move down. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen there. Of course, it's also possible that we just continue up. So don't want to discount that. So that's, again, all the possibilities, basically. I just named them all. They are all possible right now. Possible second entry long here, but definitely would not want to take that. After this uptrend has already played out, you're not even back to the EMA. You have a lot of stacked bars, 3 stacked dojis. It's not what you want. I don't even see exactly where the uptrend is here. I mean, maybe just like that, maybe just super simple. I don't know. It's weird that you get this and then this break a new high. It's funny that pretty much all the movement came in the overnight. So you get all this movement, and then since 9:30, it's actually been pretty slow. So from here to here, this is like not that many bars. 9:30, 80 bars. So it's not like it's super slow, but it's not a bunch of volume here. And so far, I still don't see any other trades that I would have been interested in other than the one that I took, which I do think was pretty good, even though I did kind of barely get out. Getting a little sleepy here. Just noticed my eyes were closing. So we've made another higher high. You'll notice you got this high, made a higher high. The short-term downtrend doesn't really play out. Possibility for a larger uptrend, but I don't see it yet. Also, it could just be like a spike in channel up, and this could just be the break a new high of that. That does fit well, but it just doesn't feel quite right. And the more the prices just continue up, the more that I think there is some sort of secondary trend going on. Taking a look. Still think that this is correct on the way up. Break, new high. But just trying to figure out why prices are continuing up here. If you draw something off the lows, you can get something to fit like that. Would be a little weird. I don't love that. Just doesn't look like it fits right. How about if you start off of there? Get something really steeper. Nothing works well there. And I don't have enough proof to start there, and it's a weird place to start. So for right now, I'm just gonna play it as if it's a break and a new high, and everything is just kind of petering out. Continuing up, you just made another new high. Taking another look. Maybe something like that. Now some pretty strong buying right there. Got reversed. Continuing upwards. Looking like this trend could be correct. Just gonna remove this spike in channel because I don't think it's, if it is correct, it's not helpful. It could just be that. Because it would be weird to start this uptrend where it was if that downtrend was right. Clearly continuing up here. It would be crazy, but it's possible to see a measured move up. I mean, that would be a massive day up. Almost 100 points, I think. So from here, all the way up, almost 100 points, yeah, that would be crazy. It's definitely a possibility. I mean, we're continuing higher. The fact that we made this break a new high and we're still continuing up this strong is definitely telling. Definitely telling for the strength. I would consider taking a long right now, but it'd have to be the right setup. I got burned on Friday taking a retest trend, so I would definitely be hesitant to do that. I'm actually gonna reload my historical data because I forgot that on Friday I had different bars than Mac and other people. I never reloaded it, so it's possible my bars are gonna change here. No, okay. So they stayed the same. That's good. Well, dang. This thing went pretty far, didn't it? There it is. Like I said, I would consider taking a long, but it's just sketchy taking one on a retest trend. Sketchier than the main trend, so it'd have to be right. Sometimes it's okay, but it's definitely a little sketchier. So it can't be like kind of a, oh, that's a pretty good setup. It has to be like a, man, this is a great setup. There's the potential for a second entry long off the trend line here. So let's say if we break lower and get a bullish bar, that would be a second entry long, but would I take it? So far, no. There's a big amount of bearish momentum right there. We did close back within the trend. So no, I wouldn't take that. Not there. Even if we did set up exactly kind of how I'd want it. So that strong down movement continues. There's not much, I think, that could interest me in a long right now. Maybe some sort of higher low setup, but I'm unsure about that. Looks like you have a correction trend. I definitely wouldn't want to fight against that. Might have a, it's kind of weird with this like close outside right there. I don't really like that. It's kind of some strange trends today. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. This one's decently straightforward, I guess. Starts in kind of an odd place and you have to cut through a decent amount of this bar. So it took me a second to figure that one out. But I think it's right now. It seems like it is, at least. I guess it's possible you get something a little wider, but that doesn't look to be holding there, so probably not. Continuing down in that correction trend. Gonna pull up Mac's chart. His mid-morning chart, I want to see what he's got. Looks like his chart isn't up quite yet. So I'm just gonna hold off on that. Looks like we're about to get a close outside of this correction trend. If that wasn't already a close outside. Pull it down a bit so it's not. Make that fit there. Yeah, looks like we're about to get a close outside of that. I would expect prices to attempt the new low and then attempt the highs here. It's a very strong push. Very strong bullish bar. possible higher low entry. Because you have this downtrend and then higher low looking for the break of new high. Had to sneeze there. But this downtrend, this correction trend doesn't have a break in new low, and it feels like, I mean, it would be a failure, I guess, a failed second entry, but it doesn't feel right to me. I don't like that. Check again for Max mid-morning chart. See if he's got that up there. Looks like he does. And let's see what I have wrong here. Oh. It looks good so far. It looks like I've gotten everything just about right. The one thing that I didn't have right was the spike and channel down that I had there. But everything else is spot on, so nice. But it is a pretty straightforward day. I mean, it's two trends that you draw exactly off the lows with a range in the middle, a slight range. So it's a pretty straightforward day. Anyway. Still a possibility for this failed second entry slash higher low, but a few things to note here. You're playing a retest trend, so this uptrend already has a break and a new high. So this is the retest trend. Even though you are looking for a break and new high of this, it's not as strong as the initial trend. Second, this downtrend needs a break and new low, or at least it's probably going to get an attempt at a break and new low. And third, even though it's a failure, it's basically just a higher low. You know, I forgot to read what Mac wrote there, so I'm going to pop the screen back on real quick, pull that up. He might have said something about this gap that I was noticing earlier. I want to see, because I never seem to get those quite right. So he says the gap target is 5183.25. And that's basically exactly what I was looking for. So yeah, I think I was right there. Sometimes I don't get the gaps quite right. But yeah, he agrees. Basically, he was saying that we're finding some continued upward action. It could be a flatter trend sort of starting to play out here, or it could be prices topping out and about to turn lower. But man, that would be quite the sell-off. If we made it all the way down here, that'd be a crazy sell-off. Right now, though, I'm going to continue playing this up bias, but like I said, it's going to take like the picture perfect entry for me to go long. And with how prices are playing out and setting up right now, it doesn't look like that's like particularly possible. Lots of stacked bars. So it looks like this big bullish bar was exhaustive, and then now you're just stacking within it. 1, 2, 3, for going on 5 stacked bars now. Even though this bearish bar is picking up some momentum, I want to see if there's some follow through to go ahead and get the break and new low of this downtrend. I'm thinking that's where prices are headed. Looks like 2 larger likes back. So now this downtrend has a break and new low. You get a good signal bar here. Potential for some sort of higher low. Looking for the break and new high of this uptrend now that this downtrend is played out. They used to be one of my favorite setups. I was pretty zoned out there for a little while. But downtrend, break, new low, good signal bar. More aggressive trader might even take that long, but not I. Getting a lot of follow through on this bar. I think that's too aggressive. I think after this uptrend already has a break and new high, you're playing a retest trend. And yeah, I think that's just too aggressive. Possibly finding some resistance. You have a 1, 2, 2 tests and working on a third. Definitely wouldn't be looking to go short here though. I don't think I'd be looking to go short or long, to be honest. So there's the triple test with a bearish bar, but like I said, not looking to go short here right now. We've already made the break and new low for this downtrend, and we still have the obligation to go higher for the break and new high of the uptrend. So now we're getting that range-like action. This uptrend might not play out, like I keep saying, because it's a retest trend. It might not play out. It's less reliable. So let's say if maybe after this one breaks, there's like a 80, maybe a 90% chance that it plays out. It might be high, but this one, maybe it's like a 60% chance that it plays out. I'd say maybe it's like a 70% chance, and this one's more like a 85, 90% chance. So I don't know. I mean, that could be completely wrong, but I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. This day's kind of flying by so far. There's almost only an hour left. I feel like nothing like super interesting has happened. It's mainly just kind of been this like choppy sideways movement. But for the most part, it's made sense. And got the one winner, which is great. Still watching to see what else might pop up. Like I said, we might test the break a new high for that uptrend, the retest one. But now the prices are moving the sideways, so after this downtrend is played out and prices are still kind of moving sideways, it makes me think that this is probably not going to happen. We're probably going to move sideways for a little while longer before I'm guessing we'll see some down movement. That's what it feels like to me right now, but at least I do think that we're going to move sideways for a little longer. Whether we go higher or lower out of that, I'm not exactly sure. Does feel like that. I feel like I've been zoned out a lot this session. I think I haven't been like fully 100% focused. But it does beg the question, like, do I need to be 100% fully focused all the time? I know that I'm not looking for a trade right now, so maybe not. But on the flip side of that, if I'm not 100% focused all the time, then I'm going to miss the subtle clues that will matter later on. So it's probably better to be focused. I don't think I can really make an argument for being zoned out. Definitely looks like some range-like movement to me. You can see this big bullish bar ticks higher, doesn't really play out, doesn't get any continuation. Big bearish bar gets a little bit of down movement, but doesn't really continue down, so it doesn't get that continuation. Big bullish bar ticks higher, you know exactly the drill, doesn't get any continuation. Now we're chopping sideways, so this definitely feels like a range where people are getting enticed to buy high, sell low, buy high, and just getting run out over and over. So these people got run out. These people didn't quite get run out, but I mean, you know, if you sold down here, you probably exited up here. So these people kind of got run out. Looks like this bullish bar, these people are kind of getting run out. I just repeated myself a bunch of times, but it's like I said, I'm just trying to pay a little more attention. We're getting another bullish bar right here, so let's see if that's able to get continuation. I do want to note the prices didn't come all the way down to where I think the support is. So it could be a tad higher, but they didn't quite come down to this level. And then you do get this bullish bar. So let's see if this is just people pulling their orders and buying high, or if we're actually going to get some follow through and a breakout. So as expected, this bullish bar didn't get any follow through, and then we got this bearish selling. Now let's see if this bearish momentum is able to get any follow through, or whether it's just going to turn up at this support. There's of course the possibility for an entry off these lows, but I'm not very good at taking range trades. So if I do take one, then I usually like for there to be a super clear reason to be taking it. And in this case, there's not. So there's not a super clear reason to be going long and not a super clear reason to be going short. So you'd just be betting on this range, and that doesn't feel like enough. So we were able to get a little bit of follow through on these bearish bars. So we got some selling, some more selling, a little bit of buying there in the end of each one of these, seen by the wick. And we were able to cross through just a tad. So we closed through and pushed through just a little bit. And now we're kind of reversing up. Not a bunch of momentum. It's kind of just sideways. But it's interesting. Looks like this range could be unfolding. I wouldn't be surprised to see prices continue down from here. But we'll just have to watch and find out. That's all conjecture. It looks to me like the support is truly a little bit higher. It's probably something like that. This is probably just like a micro breakout pullback. Looks like the short-term downtrend here. Got to break a new low. Prices are coming back within the range. It's possible that you get an expansion, but for now, I'm going to leave it where it was. Break new low. Big bullish bar coming back within. This could even be a decent trade, but again, it's just a little bit outside of something that I want to take now. If I'm going to take a range trade, I really like to have a solid reason to do it. Not to mention, if you take this, you're betting on pushing out the opposite side. So you'd have to take it like a couple ticks down, something like that maybe. So yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm expecting prices to go down really. There's not a super strong reason to do it. There's the gap, of course, but it looks like this has already played out and prices are making kind of successive lower lows and kind of lower highs here. I mean, lower high, double top, lower high, double top, and all these lower lows. So we'll have to see. Potential for a higher low back within the range. Again, not interested in that though. This is actually very low volume. If you go from 930, 120, well, 129 bars is not bad, actually. Let's see what the past few days have looked like. $179, so a decent amount more. $216, so that is a decent amount more as well. This day looks like it was slower. So this is a similarly slow day, but past couple days, past couple trading days have been a little bit better. Checking out my trades, I can't actually remember. I had one loss, two losses and a win on that day, and 2 losses on Friday, so. And not that that matters really at all. This range could just be expanding, so the support could be getting lower, you know, getting lower and lower. But it really looks like there's just this range, breakout, pullback. I'm really thinking that prices are going to head lower. I don't see any kind of larger trend. It's too choppy for that right now. So like, you know, something like that could be a possibility, but prices are really just looking too sideways. It doesn't feel right. Continuing down, picking up some steam. Big bearish bar. Closes very close to its lows. Continuing on down there. So it looks like I was right that we are continuing lower here. Still don't see any clear trend. It's possible you can draw something off of this swing coming here, continuing down, and that might fit on the opposite side as well. That's definitely a possibility. Not quite though. Like that, maybe. I'll draw it just in case, even though it's pretty uncertain right now. Looks like it would have been overshooting, or it's just getting a lot wider. But at least there's kind of a shorter term kind of thing going. That doesn't really look right either. So I'm just going to wait until it becomes a little bit more clear. Possibility to take a short, maybe a second entry short. Still the best thing so far is looking like this downtrend somehow. Maybe that. Maybe something like that. Could be a little bit, maybe a little bit less steep. Kind of fits the midline there. So definitely the potential for a second entry short. Again, I am feeling down biased at the moment. Looks like within this range, there's already been a breakout pullback, so I'm not thinking that prices are really needing to test that higher. This was the retest trend, so even though this doesn't have a break in new high, it doesn't necessarily need one. So there's nothing really telling me that I should be going long, but equally there's nothing that's like super strong to the short side. There is the gap that I keep mentioning all the way down here. And it looks like this is the direction of the overall momentum. Like down is what I mean. So down is the direction of the overall momentum. But I'm unclear of any kind of structures at this point. So again, this downtrend could be correct, but it's uncertain. And in fact, it looks like we're about to get that close outside that proves it wrong. Could be a little bit wider, of course. So could get a second entry short here. Just one leg back though. I definitely wouldn't want it if it closes within the short-term downtrend. The question is, if it closes outside of the short-term downtrend, am I going to take that? There's a few things going through my mind. The first thing going through my mind is this was going to be the third touch. There's only one touch on the opposite side, so it's very uncertain. Second, this is a pretty strong one leg up. So even if we do get a close outside, we might need a break in new high still. So those are two definitely key negatives there. But it's something that I could see being a good trade. I think if it does close outside with the bearish bar, I'm going to pass on it. I don't think that that is going to be the best trade ever. So this downtrend is probably not correct. I mean, I can keep dragging it out as much as I want. I can drag it out all the way up to here if I want to, but the further it goes, the less correct it seems to me. Still the possibility for this second entry short, but the further the prices move right here, the less that I like that. So there's the second entry short there. It's possible this downtrend is correct still. It's if we get some sort of lower high, kind of proving this downtrend, even though the short-term uptrend wouldn't have had a break in new high, if you do get that lower high, I might be interested there. Looks like this is a possible closeout side, though it's not convincing. And although I can keep dragging this out so that way it fits, it still could. It still could. I was about to say that it probably doesn't, but with the two touches on this opposite side, I'm at least willing to hear it out. So a possible, it looks like this is going to be a definite closeout side. We don't have a new high though. So I was thinking that this was going to be a closeout side and it was going to tick above and get that new high, but it looks like this bearish bar is going to be the true closeout side. Possible for a lower high still. So first entry, second entry, lower high, maybe confirming this downtrend. Technically it would be confirmed right now, 1 2 3 1 2, but this is not confirmed to me. I'm not sure about that at all. Getting some continued down movement, though not super strong. So this bearish bar, it was pretty strong, but it found some buying in the end there. Found a little bit of follow through on this bar, but it got reversed and now it's closing up on its highs. So there is the possibility for a lower high still, and that's the only trade that I'm sort of considering right here. I guess there also is the potential for a failure if prices maybe tick higher and come back. But right now, with this bullish bar, it looks like prices are going to attempt the break and new high for this short-term uptrend. Looks like they're going to attempt to go touch this break and new high. Definitely getting some stacked bars. 1 2 3 4 5 stacked with a few dojis. We now have a double top. I might be interested in taking, like if we get a bearish bar here, I might be interested in taking that. The thing is, we are so congested that like if we do get a bearish bar, I'm going to be taking it right into the lows of this congestion, which I don't feel awesome about because there is 1 2 3 4 5 about to be 6 bars stacked. I think even if there is a bearish bar, oh man, it's tempting. It's really tempting because you have that break in the double top and the bearish bar right off what looks like a trend line, but closing right back within that congestive area. I just don't think I can do it. I'm going to skip that, and I might regret that later. We are getting continuation. So that'd be a first entry, second entry. That would technically be the lower high that I was kind of looking for. But I mean, man, it's just so congestive. Now, if we get another lower high, which would technically be oh wow, okay, that was really, really fast. Mac will probably mark that, most likely. That was an extremely big sell-off, very quick. My heart like sort of dropped a bit, or my stomach like dropped inside of my whatever. So it seems that this downtrend is now confirmed because you came up and you tested it and then you made this double top. So this uptrend wasn't able to play out. And now you have basically 4 touches. You have 1, 2, and then 3 kind of came back for that 4th touch. You have 2 touches on the opposite side. So I think this is a correct downtrend. Definitely only looking for shorts. So we'll just have to wait and see what we get. Got about 30 more minutes, so really kind of flown by, but I think the reason it's kind of flown by is because I've been trading the whole day for the past week or whatever, which is like 5 hours long, and so now 2.5 is like not that bad, or 2:45 or whatever it is, kind of just not that bad. I do think that's a good trade. Chances are this one's going to be good too, though. I mean, just at this point, it feels so congestive. Look at that. Look at all those stacked bars. I feel like it could have easily just ticked lower, stopped you out, and then gone exactly where you think. Not quite touching the opposite side. Could be a sign that this might break soon. Still thinking of shorts mainly. So we got this big bearish bar. Get a little bit of a pause and not a bunch of follow through. Didn't quite reach the opposite side. Now we're getting a bunch of buying, strong buying in this big bullish bar coming back up here, possibly filling a gap because of how fast prices dropped here. Could have left a little bit of a gap like right here. Just about 20 more minutes left. It's starting to feel rather slow. Touching off this trend line again, let's see if it holds. Like I said, we came up short on this side, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if we don't hold this downtrend right now. I also want to, I don't think there's a trend here. Like, I don't actually think there's a trend here, but I just want to point out that we are making higher, I mean, obviously there's no trend, but we're making higher lows each time. So if we did kind of bounce here, this is a higher low each time. But after this downtrend, even if it does break, which I'm kind of thinking that it's going to, then I'm going to expect a new low for that. It wasn't terribly strong though, so it wouldn't be like a, you know, a 90% probability. Like maybe it's like a 80% or less. So we do get a nice bearish bar off of this trend line, but it's just a first entry. So not interested in that. Technically, I guess you could call this a 1, 2 failed entry, failed second entry long, but you're just counting like a congestive tick higher, and I don't like it. It's funny, you definitely do get more experience seeing these things, because at one point in time I probably would have looked at that and been like, boom, perfect signal bar right off the trend line. I can count that as a failure. Yeah, I'm all over that. But now it's really just a matter of experience. I can look at that and say, well, that just doesn't look quite right to me. And I can see why Mac can't always put stuff into words, because it's like I can't tell you exactly why that's not right, but it just doesn't look quite right. Possible second entry short here. Looks like prices have come back to this congestive area. So we made a breakout pullback of this congestive area. And you're getting a second entry short. We've broken this downtrend though. And it looks like there could be some sort of trend in the way, possibly. I'm just not sure about this one. I'm gonna watch it. I don't know though. Again, you're getting a lot of stacked bars. You're not really respecting this downtrend. And I feel like I've seen this before where there's like a very slight close outside and you still get the second entry, but it's like it goes and it stops you out. So I'm just sort of, I don't know, I don't feel quite right about that one. I think that's kind of the sweet spot of trading, is seeing something you're interested in and then letting your intuition and how you feel about the entry decide whether you enter it or not. Because there are some things that I just can't put into words. I can't put down positives and negatives for everything. It's just some things feel right, some things don't. So now it looks like the downtrend is obviously broken. And I'm thinking that we'll probably head for the break a new low. But as I said before, this downtrend wasn't incredibly strong, so we might not get a retest. It's not a guarantee. Lots of congestion going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stacked bars. Big bearish bar looks like it's kind of swallowing up this whole thing, closing outside of it. I want to acknowledge that I realize the potential for this entry. So it is a third entry, but it's kind of this double top and a breakout pullback with a lot of momentum, looking for a break and new low. So it feels too risky to me. I definitely wouldn't take that, but I realize that there is potential on this bar to continue down. Just got 10 more minutes. Chances of taking a trade are pretty low. Really turned into a really just sideways and choppy day. Haven't really printed too many bars since I last checked. About 30 since I last checked, I think. It was like 11, 10 maybe. Yeah, about 30. So after this big bearish bar, we get a pause bar, and then now we're getting some continuation. Looks like we are probably going to hit this break and new low. I wanted to see what that looked like with the engulfing. So engulfing this doji entry. And we have now hit the break and new low. Something that just popped into my mind that I want to remember for later is that sometimes whenever you fix one problem, you create another one. I know I've experienced this in learning other skills where I'll change one thing and it'll fix whatever problem I was having, but then I realize that something else is happening. Maybe it's something old, like an old problem starts to come back. So I just want to remember not to be discouraged because of that, because that is something that just happens. So as I learn trading, sometimes I'll fix one thing and then realize that an issue that I haven't thought about in forever comes back, and that's okay. So I definitely haven't been like fully focused all day. That's for sure. I mean, I've been zoned out for probably about half the session, but I still think I understood what was going on. So uptrend, break, new high. Well, uptrend, range, break, new high. Downtrend, break, range, Well, the break a new low was here, but then, you know, you kind of fold into this downtrend, it gets a break in a new low. So it's a pretty self-explanatory day. There's really nothing too crazy about it. But I definitely could have been a little bit more focused, I think. Definitely not going to be any trades in the next 2 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. And yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and end it there. So I will study this chart tonight and be on tomorrow.